And I have just the person to answer that question for us tonight. Later on, it's a few days to NDC's Congress to elect national executives. I've called a journalist friend of mine who knows how the NDC works. And we're going to try and predict what's going to happen on Saturday with my guest in the second part of the show. It's live and interactive, so send us your thoughts. WhatsApp on the number that we put on the screen. If you are watching on the Facebook stream, contribute to the discussion. When we come back, I'll tell you who my first guest is. Don't go away. So our first part of the show tonight asks a very simple question, and the question is, who is failing Ghana? Citizens or leaders? Or both or neither? The person to answer this question gave a lecture a few weeks ago, actually presented a paper on responsible citizenship and accountable governance and leadership. She is a lawyer by profession and the chairperson of the constitutional body mandated to guide citizenship, the NCCE. Josephine Nkrumah is my guest for the first part of the show. Good evening. Welcome to the program.
Thank you, Bernard. Thanks for having me here.
I watched you and listened to you 2 weeks ago or a week ago?
A week ago.
A week ago.
Yes.
Delivering a paper on responsible citizenship and accountable governance.
Yes.
I like the way you allocated it. Where did you get this idea of responsible citizen and accountable governance? Sort of merging two extremes.
Well, I think that the issue of citizenship and leadership for me is simple. Simple in the sense that every appointed or elected leader derives his or her authority from the citizens. So to my mind, it is the citizens who have delegated a certain authority to be exercised by an individual or an institution for and on behalf of the people. So for me, I chose to say we are all citizen leaders. And in that regard, what I said was, if we speak of failed leadership, then to my mind, we should speak about failed citizenship.
So we shouldn't decouple the two? Because you even coined something you called citizen leaders.
That's right.
So you're sort of merging it.
Yes.
But we have to allocate responsibility, should we not?
Well, we have to allocate responsibility. To me, leadership largely reflects the citizenry.
Is it?
Yes, I think to a great
large extent.
Yes. And I say that because in the paper, I just used an analysis of what happens on the roads of Ghana.
Okay.
And I use that to show how this culminates in the perceived failure of leadership. And I believe strongly that if we as citizens do our part in ensuring that we follow laws, we are looking out for the well-being of other citizens, then we are better placed to demand accountability from our leaders.
But if you look at the way we structure society,
yes,
the clergy and the laity, there's the nobles,
yes,
there's the so-called proletariat,
yes,
there's the government and the governed. Is it not necessary? Because if you couch it the way you couch it, then it's like, oh, it's all our fault. We all have to blame. But if you want to drill down to why things are not moving, at some level you have to say that there is the duty of government, there's the responsibility of leadership,
yes,
and there's the role of citizenship, and it's not the same.
Well, let me tell you how I see it. Before you become a leader, you are first and foremost a citizen.
Yes.
In fact, in our constitution, to hold certain positions even, you must be a citizen of this country.
Yes.
So first and foremost, you must be a citizen. It is the nurturing of a citizen that culminates in a certain leader that you have. So if you have nurtured citizens to be responsible, you have nurtured citizens based on a certain value system that we have as a country, if you have nurtured citizens to understand their role in nation building, when they grow into leaders, they will not depart from it.
I like that concept.
Yes.
But the truth is that the way we treat leaders,
yes,
the largesse they enjoy,
that's true.
The way we even feed them, how they travel,
the sense of entitlement
is different.
Yes.
So, and the other thing is that because there are different paths to becoming a leader, our constitution now you have to go to an election. Some came through coup d'etats.
Yeah.
But the truth is that at some point somebody is leading, somebody is following.
Yes.
So yes, you can say that if somebody is.
So I have a certain value system that was instilled in me from my childhood. So as I grow up and as I find myself in a leadership position, what is it that I exhibit? For me, what I exhibit is what was instilled in me.
Okay.
So I actually have people say, oh, when they post money in the crowd. And I say to them, what is the meaning of that? Because the very essence of leadership is to serve.
Okay.
And if you are there to serve and you are there to work on behalf of the people, then you are entitled to something. Everybody everybody works and is paid. And maybe your perks are a little different from the person who is the ordinary man on the street. But that does not give you a certain sense of entitlement.
Okay.
And that's how I see it. And when we begin to see that as leaders, then the people would begin to take our leadership seriously, and we would have set a certain example for citizens also to follow. The ordinary leader.
I like the way you frame it. So a failure of leadership is a failure of citizenship, because if the citizen had understood their role when they got into leadership, they would do separate things. But let me flip that.
Okay.
You can also say that a failure of citizenship is a failure of leadership.
Yes.
Because when somebody begins as a citizen, they need guidance, they need nurturing, they need encouragement. So if the person fails as a citizen, it's because leadership has failed to show them what a citizen must be.
And that is why I'll bring it down to the simple, the basic unit of socialization in this country, or no, in society generally. The first is the home.
Great.
And then you move on to education, the school, and then you move on to the religious sphere. And so these three key socialization units must mold a certain kind of being. What is it that parents are teaching at home? And when it goes into, the child goes to school, how is that value complemented in the school system? You see, we should have a national value system that drives what we consider as the ideal leader or the ideal citizen. And that is something that must be reflected right from the home.
Wow.
So if we are failing in our duties as parents, by how we parent, what we teach our children, either by what we say or what we do, and when we go to school, we are failing in that same regard, we cannot begin to think that we are going to raise a leadership or a culture of leadership that is acceptable and responsible to us. So if I will give you a simple example. In schools today, when children are being elected to certain positions, they want to engender that democratic principles in children. But what do we see happening in most schools? Already, parents are funding campaigns in schools. And when you go to school, it's acceptable to the school's management. So already you are teaching the child what a leader should do. And that fundamentally must change.
Wow.
I have had cause to go to one school and tell them categorically that it is absolutely wrong and it must change.
But who should agree on the values? I like your frame. Home, school, faith or religion.
Yes.
But we have different backgrounds. So if you say we need national values, whose job is it to frame those values?
That's a very difficult question. In 2017, NCCE organized a dialogue on our national identity as a people, what kind of values we stood for. And at that dialogue, what we did was to bring role models in society. So we had the late VCRA Crab, the late SKB Asante, and then we also brought in Amateidu to speak on a value system.
Those are heavyweights.
Those are heavyweights. And these are people that by no stretch would you call them rich or anything. But these are people, when you mention their names, people sit up, people listen to what they say, irrespective of who you are and on which side of the coin in this country you stand on. You would listen to them. So we asked them, what is it that you were taught? What is it that guided you in life? How has that molded you to who you are today? And what is it that we can take away from this? By the way, we also had Professor Stephen Ade.
Wow.
Yes.
So Stephen Ade, Amataedu, VCRC Crab.
And SKB Asante.
That's awesome.
And then the chairman was Nana Kwablanketia.
Oh, come on, that's powerful.
That was a powerfulness.
Yeah.
And the whole idea was to begin a certain narrative on what value system we have. Some of the values I think we already talk about. If you listen to the national anthem, fearless honesty, truth and justice, these are all things these are all values that we should ascribe to as a people. But are we intentionally, deliberately, purposefully teaching these values? My simple answer is no.
Do you think the way we formed as a nation did not help? Because it was all about freedom and justice. And so Nkrumah wanted us to be free. And because of all the coups and things, if you look at the 92 Constitution, it doesn't stress too much on values.
No.
It stresses procedure and rightness of governance. It doesn't really talk about honesty, truth, fearlessness, although it talks about responsible work and things.
Yeah.
So do you feel this lack of proper values could be because of the way the nation was formed, and I would need to probably go back to deciding on national values again?
I think it is imperative that we begin to teach values in schools.
Okay.
If we begin to teach values in schools, of course, the children will begin to exhibit those values, and it will mold their character as they grow up. Okay. And this will largely inform the next generation of leadership that we have. So for me, we should have a value system that is taught in schools. Oftentimes, I'm approached by people, the NCC, why aren't you teaching issues of, what's the book called? Courtesy for Boys and Girls. I mean, in it, you learn the values of tolerance, you learn the values of honesty, values of sharing, and all of these are necessary for us to move as a nation. But you don't have that now, because if you are not teaching a child now the value of sharing, that is why somebody gets into power and he thinks that he's entitled to all of the money. Somebody gets into office and thinks that, well, I should find a way of deceiving the system for my own good. So there's selfishness in there, there's lack of tolerance in there, and all the person is thinking about is me, because we are not teaching these things intentionally now. I think largely if we begin to teach these things to children, the future is more optimistic for me.
And viewers, I'll come to your comments on this issue, because I feel it's a topic that requires comments, in a sense that I framed it, is it leaders or is it
citizens?
Or is it, even if it's both, who has the bigger responsibility? But I still want to, based on what you've said about homeschool and values, it looks like the NCCE has an impossible job, because we are supposed to start from home, continue in school, and complement it in the church or the mosque.
Yes.
Yet they are asking you, why aren't you teaching this? You are just an institution, you are less than 2,000 people, I don't know how many are you.
We are 1,420.
So it can't be a responsibility. You complement what we do at home.
Yes, it is a shared responsibility, and NCCE continues to speak about the fact that civic education is a shared responsibility. The responsibility of a parent at home, the responsibility of the teacher in school, the responsibility on the religious platforms, responsibility of media, politicians, business communities, arts, sports and culture. They all have a role to play. But the fundamentals, home, school, religious platform, they are key for us to molding the kind of citizens that will metamorphose into leaders. So if we are getting it wrong from the beginning, we can't expect to get it right. For instance, when we talk about corruption, everybody says, oh, go and talk about corruption. NCC, what are you doing about corruption? And then I ask a simple question. If you haven't taught your child honesty at home, truthfulness at home, and the child goes to school and finds the same thing in the school setting. A teacher is sitting, is lying to the headmaster, lying about work that he was supposed to have given a child but didn't give when a parent is asking. All of those things. So already the child's mind, oh, I can get away with this. I can actually get away with it, and they would get away with it. If your child is in a car with you, and as a father or mother, you drive on the apron of the road and you think that it's acceptable. How does the child begin to understand that I wait my turn in a queue? How does a child then grow up to understand that even as a leader, I wait my turn to get whatever I am due? I don't dip in my hands into anything. So these are fundamentals that we must necessarily get right. And until we get these fundamentals right, we will continue to complain about leadership failure, when in fact we haven't gotten our fundamentals right.
You said something in the presentation. In fact, there was a part which I wanted to read. You said the easiest way to know where we are as a country is our streets.
Yeah.
You said our roads have been identified as the number one place where you can assess who a Ghanaian is, in our streets. What do you mean by that?
Well, everybody uses the roads of Ghana, and largely your character traits will reflect one way or the other in your usage of the road. So I started by the simple analogy of indiscipline on our roads, which for me is a larger reflection of the indiscipline in society today. So everybody is living or is using the road and thinking everything on that road should be to my convenience. But everything on the road cannot be to your convenience alone. Because you see, as a citizen, when you understand that whatever you do, you must use your best skill for the best interest of the larger community or the larger users of the roads, so that it is for the collective benefits of everybody on the road, then you will know what you have to do on the road. That will begin to guide you. So if you know that when the red light says stop, I must stop, but you think I'm in such a hurry, so I should quickly run, jump the red light, you are not looking out for the well-being of another citizen. You can hurt somebody on the street. You look at traffic jams on our roads today, and it's largely because everybody is thinking about what I want to get on the road. I need to get here on time. And we sit in public transport, we see all of these things happening. Do we talk? No. We sit down and we watch because we are in a hurry to get somewhere. So when the trotro driver is breaking all the traffic regulations, it's okay for us. Because at that point, it is convenient for us. But then we will go and sit at home and lament about how trotro drivers are indisciplined. But you are as indisciplined as the trotro driver because you fail to speak up. I have sat in a friend's car and she decided to drive on the apron of the road. And I said, if that is how you are going to drive, park your car and let me get out.
But what if somebody says, this your friend, if they are driving in London or in New York, wouldn't do that, not because they become a better person there, but because the society has created a system that will find them out. So the problem with Ghana is not that Ghanaians are inherently, they have bad values. The problem is that we have not put in place measures to punish wrong.
Okay.
So it's not that he becomes a better person in UK. He knows that if he runs a red light in the UK, he'll get a ticket the next morning. So he won't do it.
But would you also agree with me that you have many residents in the UK or UK citizens who come into this country and follow traffic regulations?
Probably because they've been acculturated in a society.
Thank you.
That
that is exactly my point. It's integrity.
No, but it's because of reward and punishment. Because he's lived in a society that punishes wrong. When he comes here, he has to conform.
Before he even gets to that point, before the citizen gets to that point, even where he is driving or she is driving, he is taught that wrong is wrong and right is right. Do what is right because you have to consider the well-being of others.
But we also taught that.
We just
are not punished for doing the wrong thing. So my argument to you, or yes, my thought to you to explain is, maybe it's a question of systems to ensure.
Of course, I agree. Every human being, every day you struggle with yourself to do what is right or what is wrong. Yes. You really want to do this, but you know it is wrong, so you shouldn't do it. And so the systems go to buttress that, that character in you, to say that, well, you know that this is right and this is wrong. So once you do what is wrong, you'll be punished for it. And even the system says that ignorance of the law is no excuse. So even if you didn't know it was right or wrong, if you did it and you flouted rules and regulations, you'll be punished for it. And so those actually go to ensure that at all times you remain a disciplined person. It is not there primarily to punish. It is to deter. It is to deter. Yes, because that alone should cause you to think, do I really want to do this? If a policeman should accost me on the streets because I flouted a traffic regulation, that for me would be a total embarrassment. But then I understand enough to know that I must face the full rigors of the law because I failed to follow a traffic regulation. And like I say, it always begins with the kind of values that you are growing up with.
Interesting.
Yes.
This is the point of view. My guest for the first part of the show is the chairperson of the NCCE, National Commission on Civic Education, Josephine Nkrumah. The question is not been fully answered.
No.
We are asking who is to blame for where Ghana is, leaders or citizens? Who is failing us? She's giving some nuanced answers. When we come back, we'll probe three things: culture, religion, colonialism. We'll look at those three things. And I'll put a few thoughts to her as well. In the second part of the show, I'll be talking to an NDC friend of mine. He's called Kobi Fiagbe. And we're going to predict who's going to win the key races. Because there's the Koku and Yoro versus General Mosquito race. That's the General Secretary. There's a very heated chairmanship race. And I'm going to force Kobe to look into the crystal ball and give me his prediction. After the Congress, he'll come back and back his prediction. So stay tuned, don't go away.
City TV is live. City TV is a free-to-air digital channel. On a digital TV, please press menu on your remote control and run a new search on your TV. Take note that without an antenna, you cannot access City TV on your television. City TV can be accessed on a multi-TV digibox. Tune into City TV and experience your world. City TV. It's your world.
Every day comes with its challenges. But there's someone you can trust and rely on to bring you hope for the future and joy for today. At the end of each day, you are stronger because you know that tomorrow will be better and brighter. That's the Ghanaian way. MoneyGram, bringing you closer.
So I told you there'll be a lot of comments. So Yakubu from Medina says, in my opinion, it's our leaders who are failing us. Our leaders are selfish and corrupt. Mark Rubin from Garu says, Ghana is failed by citizens spearheaded by selfish leaders. Every leader was once a citizen. Every citizen makes leaders too. Both citizens and leaders fail Ghana big time. Peter McCarthy Hill says, by the way, the chairperson of NCCE, Josephine Nkrumah, is doing well. After taking office, I've met her at their forums, and she is always up to the task. But the problem is that their budget is not enough to do more things. Peter, Josephine says, God bless you and increase you. I mean, you heard it, you said it in your head.
Yes, I did.
Good evening, Bernard. We blame leadership for everything. If a football team loses a match, who do we blame? The coach or the players? Our leaders are not helping at all. Kwame from Isabon. Mr. Bernard, it's our leaders who come on RTI bill say they can't pass into law. How can we demand accountability? Kojo Nkwabinya says, Bernard, I can see with no regrets that our leaders are the ones who have failed us. Not all citizens can be leaders, but all citizens can and may be involved in choosing our leaders. It is therefore lies in our leaders to provide a clear direction for citizens to follow. Bernard, I've followed you seriously on radio for the past 1 year. But just seeing you on TV today, sure can't believe it. You certainly don't look like your voice. You're a big man. Congrats on a recent award. I didn't know I was a big man.
Yeah, now you're being told that.
Please, the NCCE is to educate the citizens. Ask Madam Nkrumah if they are living to their mandate to tell the people their leaders are failing. You didn't even add your name. You're so upset.
Yes.
Amazing from Fiapre Sunyai. Bernard, there is only one answer to your question today. Leadership, leadership, leadership. Believe me, we are in this mess because of failure of leadership and continuous failure of leadership. More comments. Chum in Swedru. Hi Bernard, the fact is that we as a country have already failed. We have lost the spirit of patriotism in this country. We need education both in school and at home. It should start from the leader. Readership by experience. Chum. Let me sort of push you into a couple of things.
Okay.
They wanted to know what you were doing, but I'll end with that. What NCC is doing.
Okay.
I've heard people say colonialism didn't help us.
Yeah.
I have friends who say we hate ourselves. We're forced to. We don't like pay. So, for example, you give a contract to a foreigner, you give it to a black Ghanaian. You sort of almost disdain somebody of your own skin color because of the way the colonialists sort of helped. I don't know. Is that part of this thing at all?
I think it is part of it. I think what it did was to strip us of our own identity and to believe in ourselves. I think colonialism largely affected us to the extent that we no longer believed in ourselves as being able to do things for ourselves. We were told what to do. And we were also made to think that the color of your skin made you better or worse off. And even today, it is reflected in comments by people. If you are light-skinned, I'm sorry to say, people think, oh, you're better.
Me brony.
Me brony. I mean, my grandmother married a Lebanese man, and she said, and she used to say to me, oh, you should marry a white man because he would treat you better.
Oh.
You understand me? Because in her experience, she married a white man and she felt she was treated better. But so that has been passed on from generation to generation. You look at a driver driving a white man. He has a sense of entitlement on the road. He thinks that, who are you to cross me? Can't you see I'm driving a white man? And
so we have been damaged.
We have been damaged, and we have to reignite that sense of patriotism in each and every one of us. That you are Ghanaian, you should be proud to be Ghanaian. So when a parent says, oh, meba we dio yo, or brochian or beko, what have you told the child immediately? Ghana is not good enough. So you see, these comments that we take for granted and we think there's not, but you are telling it's actually molding your psyche into thinking that this is not where I'm meant to be. I've got to go out there. I've got to go out there. Out there is better. So there's a lot of work for NCCE to do, to reignite that passion in being Ghanaian, to reignite that pride in being Ghanaian. I think when we had independence, you kind of saw that. You saw that in the kind of music that Ghana, the land of people. You know, those kind of songs, actually, they brought some passion. And
do you think your namesake, Osajifo Nkrumah, because in his speech he says, there's a new African in the world. Then he says, we want to prove to the world that the black man is somebody. Then he also says, the African is capable of managing his own affairs. It was almost as if the world has said we were not good enough. So he was almost trying to prove
that we were good. And this goes beyond even just colonization. It goes back to the slave trade and all of those times. I mean, who were those that were captured as slaves? It was the black man. So it goes beyond our period of colonization. It goes way into, centuries ago when it was the black man that was
But how do you decolonize a black mind? How do you do that?
I think it's a long, drawn-out process. And it involves all manner of experts to sit at a table and decide as a nation what strategies you are going to use to decolonize it. For instance, Great Britain, there was a whole movement for Great Britain where, it was in very subtle ways. They began to engender patriotism in the average British person. They began to engender pride in the average British man. But so there was no, one big program sitting there and telling you this is how we are going to do it. But they injected it in many aspects of life and society. And I think it's about time that we sat down and adopted a certain scientific approach to looking at this, to engendering that kind of patriotism in people. Honestly, and it's in some of the things that we're actually seeing. Brand Ghana. Today, there's the gentleman, Ochiame.
Kwame.
Well, my children are singing the song.
I was made in Ghana.
I was made in Ghana. What's that song he's singing?
Yeah, he says, that's a song called Made in Ghana or
Yes.
by...
I love Made in Ghana or something, you know, and you hear the children begin to sing it. You
So
understand?
that's the kind of thing we need to do.
Need
So
to
we need to escalate that kind of Ochiame Kwame thing.
We need to escalate it on a whole new level that identifies subtle ways that you, without necessarily telling them, I want you to be proud to be Ghanaian.
Has religion helped or hurt us? I'm Krifi, right? I'm born again Christian,
Yes.
but I wonder whether
Religion,
the way it has been presented and handed over has worsened the situation.
Religion is very personal,
Yes,
to people, but for some of us too, it's become a way of life, a way of life where if you are supposed man of God, you must speak with an accent, you know, that makes you fly. You must be able to quote some, you know, yes, then that makes you fly. So religion is also not helping, because right now what it is teaching us is that we have to speak like this to be, you know, acceptable to each other. We need to listen to this kind of word, you know, so we kind of...
Do you think religion takes away personal responsibility?
Oh,
in a sense that it makes you feel... So one extreme example, so BBI is the devil, sort of thing. So it's... If something is not going well, it's either the devil or a relative in the village.
If something is not going well, it's true. It's the devil or the relative, your grandmother in the village. But then, so you see, when we are talking, all the responses we are getting, we are quick to blame people without taking a serious and honest look at ourselves. What am I also doing? You see, it's the little things that we do. We've become desensitized to some of them so much that we think that it's okay. Is it okay to go for an electricity meter and pay for it? And bribe somebody for it? But right now, you almost feel like you are obliged to do it. It's normal. So you see, we are becoming desensitized to the everyday lifestyles, and that is not helping us. So you go to church. When church knows that any right-thinking person, except of course somebody is on leave, should be at work. But you tell the person, come and let me give you holy water and anointing oil and everything under the sun, and all your problems will be solved. But you don't tell the person, you should be at work at this time and work hard.
You go from Sunday to Sunday.
And then you are only a Christian on Sundays or the days you go to church.
It doesn't reflect in your life.
It doesn't reflect in your life. It doesn't
reflect. So you would argue that the way the religion is practiced
is wrong.
But religion inherently, because religion is also grace, faith, right? It's also, I'll give you an example. So for me, you learn to sacrifice, right?
Yes.
You think of the afterlife. You can't, everything is not, you get my point. So there are inherently positive things within faith. But then sort of is misinterpreted.
What was the first thing that God told Adam? He said he should go
and tend the garden.
And he should dominate.
Yeah.
You understand? And as Christians, we use it.
Yes.
That you are kingdom citizens.
Yes, sir.
What does a kingdom citizen do? He didn't say go and everything will fall in place for you. You're supposed to go and tend it.
Yeah.
It means you're supposed to go and work.
Yeah.
And listen, when he said you're supposed to go and work, that is what they refer to as the farmer mentality. So the farmer goes, he understands he has to nurture, he has to cultivate. If he eats all of the seeds today, he won't have some for tomorrow. So it teaches you to plan. But the hunter mentality goes, that's a fat calf there. You kill it. You're not thinking, maybe I should save this one so that it can procreate.
So we should be farmers and not hunters.
We should be farmers
and
not hunters.
Hunters just kill it at once.
I read it from a book by this Nigerian, Anigbo Bu or something. It's the grand design for Africa. And I was totally intrigued by
farming is cultivation, is patience.
And it's
hunting
nurturing.
Is exploitative.
Yes, very exploitative. It's like on the go. I must have this and I must have it now.
You need to give me the guy's name properly.
I will. I'll get a book.
So religion is the way it's practiced.
Yes.
So you can be a Christian or a Muslim and still be a proper citizen if you understand your faith properly.
In fact, if you understand your faith properly, that in itself would make you a good citizen, because you understand that your role goes beyond. I mean, in the Bible, when you talk about dishonesty is dishonesty at any
every
level.
Yes.
And so it doesn't mean that you are dishonest when you go to church, and that is wrong. But when you go to work and you are dishonest, it's okay. And when you read Proverbs, I love Proverbs, because Proverbs, it's an everyday lifestyle.
It's an universal application.
Yes. How you use your time, even goes on to talk about skills.
Yeah, a
You
false
understand?
balance and abomination to
Yes. And what do we see?
God. A lot of false balance.
Thank
even in
you.
the church. So colonialism is part, religion and ways practice. What about our culture?
Our culture.
Because I feel we have to also admit that, and I'll give you a couple of examples. So people value more money than they value respect. So if you have a lot of money, they may not even question where you got it from. People spend a lot more money on funerals than they get from.
I beg to differ.
Okay, correct me if I'm wrong.
Of course, culture is dynamic.
Okay.
So culture is changing.
Yes.
And so you have to ask yourself, what are the values that we are losing that is affecting the change in culture?
Okay.
Because if you look at it, I'll use marriage. When we talk about the dowry, it's not meant to, at least in their can, it's something minimal. You understand? But now it's turned into a whole materialistic project. When you look at funerals, for instance, when they're doing the 7-day celebration, it is a day where cultural. You go, you sit down, you plan as a family and say, we are announcing the date today. But today they serve, it's a buffet and it's a whole party. It's changed. It's changed. But you see, it's because of what... I don't even know if...
Are we importing it from other places?
Is
it the movies
where
we
are
are
we
watching?
Importing it from? So tell me, where are we importing this one from?
Somebody say if you watch a Nigerian movie and the way they dance and they do their gede and they are going to do, I don't know. I don't even want to blame Nigerian movies and flamboyance, but we have different places. We travel around the world. We see different things. We go abroad and come and bring those things here too.
When you go abroad, which funeral have you gone to abroad that you have seen the level of opulence that we see in Ghanaian funerals?
Now that we are the world best.
Hey, we know how to do that. So you're asking, and it puts pressure on people.
Has that always been the case?
No.
When did funerals become so big?
I didn't see that.
Is it the industry around funerals?
It's the industry. Perhaps it's the industry and the commercialization of these cultural practices. It has become so commercialized that everybody must find one way or the other of making money out of it. Oh, this person died. How can we make money? Let's go and offer this and say this is the service we provide. Oh, it's nice. Let's do it. And then the next person thinks, I must have one up on this one's funeral. So I'm going to do mine bigger. And today funeral is a whole... I mean, you're thinking about this and wondering to yourself, so when the person was alive, did you spend that much money on the person? People will borrow money to bury. And when you're talking about a simple funeral, it's almost like it's an abomination now.
I have a lot more comments for my guest, and I have a final question for you. So here are some of your comments. It's our leaders, period.
Oh, no.
Atazia Dauda. B. Saba Accra Agboba. Visionless, selfish, and greedy citizens climbing up to become leaders. We need a paradigm shift. Church leaders are not exempted from this. They exalt our greedy leaders, making stealing become attractive. K from Tema. In a democracy, the people get the leaders they deserve. Joseph Demestre. Hello, Bernard. Mrs. Nkrumah is spot on. It's a failure from citizens because it's the same citizens who rise to the helm of leadership. So if such person gets his values wrong as a citizen, certainly values as a leader, she will definitely go wrong. Good evening, Bernard. Thanks to your guest. She's really educating us. Our leaders are the most lawless people. Madam Nkrumah is really bringing NCCE to our doorsteps. Unlike those days that we hardly hear from them. Leaders are failing Ghana because they haven't grown with the fundamental ethics that force them to build a nation. From Sephia. Ben, the picture we see as a nation is an aggregation of our individual responsibilities. Simon, a lot of comments for you. I'm Sami from Mamobi. The actions of our leaders and our cultural dispensation currently is leading the nation down the drain. The spirit of patriotism is dead. Now, when you read Why Nations Fail,
yes,
and this is my last question to you, the authors argue that nations fail because their elites and leaders have not understood and implemented what they need for them to succeed. Because in all societies that have succeeded, in terms of what we see as success, a group of people have made decisions about what they want. It's never been everybody. So they say it's the elite, that's not necessarily politicians, that could be the business leaders, the religious leaders, but he says the elite decide that this is the kind of society we want. And through that interaction, they pull everybody else along.
Okay.
Do you buy that argument?
So when you pull everybody else along, as I was writing this paper, this is one of the things I spoke about what for me a leader was. A leader is somebody who has vision and should be able to carry everybody along with it, and people should buy into that vision. So once the people have not bought into your vision, then you have failed as a leader. So the vision should carry all of us. So the leader must first and foremost identify that vision resonates with the people. So if you have a vision that does not resonate with the people, it doesn't matter how laudable the vision is, but the people don't buy into it. So whatever you do will amount to failure.
Okay.
So for me, you have the leader should carry people along with that vision. And in the early days of Nkrumah,
so it's not just the leaders alone.
No.
So you're saying we should qualify my point by saying the leader must sell what he's doing for people to agree.
Yes.
It's not an imposed
yes.
top-down
And
thing.
that is why you have the campaigns and whatnot. But in Ghana, we have become so polarized as a nation, and that is destroying us. I think the polarization makes it difficult for us to see anything other than party A or party B. And if we do not begin to accept that certain things that my party has done is wrong, and it is wrong, wrong is wrong, but because it's my party, it's okay. No, let's bring it to what I've been called a vigilante woman now. But for me, it's a simple matter. Vigilantism or political thuggery, political violence is wrong, irrespective of who is committing it. But you have people, right-thinking individuals, who would say, why is NCCE talking about it? When NDC did it, you didn't say it. Why is NCCE talking about it? When NDC did it, you didn't say it. And when NPP did it, you didn't say it. So does it make it right?
No, it doesn't.
So why can't we just say it's wrong? Guys, it's wrong. Let's move on beyond this. But the polarization is destroying us. It is destroying us. And until so-called right-thinking minds.
How was your own approach? Somebody commended you because you are bringing governance to our doorsteps. You seem to be one of the few NCCE bosses who's frontally trying to sort of push the agenda.
I think when it was a difficult decision for me to come into public service because I wasn't sure I was cut out.
I hear you're a successful lawyer, making a lot of money.
I was making my little money. It was sufficient for me, but coming in, I believed very strongly that I was passionate about Ghana, and perhaps that was the driving force. And like everything else that I do, I want to try and do to do my best, and that is what drives me. So I go to bed thinking, what else can we do that would change an individual? If every day I can get up thinking that I made a difference in one person, I go to bed thinking, at least one person will also come.
Are they giving you the resources you need? Somebody also sent a message and said they are not giving you enough money.
As for the resources, it is a major challenge for us. It's a major challenge, and it literally impedes the effective delivery of our mandate. We don't have the basic things that a civic education institution should have, and that also largely affects the work we do. So logistics and finance, to the extent that I'm out there doing programs, so many programs, but I can't fund them to be sustaining, and then I can't create the visibility around it. You understand me? So that becomes a challenge for me. So you ask yourself, okay, I have 20 CDs. Do I use all the 20 CDs to carry out my program, or I use some for visibility? If I use some for visibility, then it means that this leg of it, you understand me? So it's a really dicey thing that we struggle with on a daily basis. The leadership of NCC at commission level, you're thinking about basic things when you should be more forward thinking in terms of
what can we do to help you? And I'm talking about the whole media. What can we do because we believe in what you are doing?
I think what media can do is also to begin to speak and advocate for resources for NCC. This time, maybe next year, we're thinking we're looking at engaging more of corporate Ghana to support us. And there is a direct correlation between civic education and the benefits to corporate Ghana.
Okay.
When you are able to sustain democracy, when you are able to bring a certain work ethic to the national citizenry, it affects the profits of corporate Ghana. And we think that when we go to them and explain and pitch it right, they would buy into what we have for them and see that their corporate social responsibility in supporting civic education would go a long way in driving nation building in this country. So what the media can do for us is continuously advocate for us and bring us on whatever platforms that you have so that we can also express. Today, I would just like to share one thing that we're doing. We're doing a program called Project Citizen. It's something that we instituted in 2002. And what we do is that we identify a few schools in each region. And what the students in the school do is they identify a problem in the community, look at how, what kind of policy has been formulated to address that problem, how the policy has been effective or otherwise, where there are gaps, proper alternative policy and an action plan, so that you begin to build young people to take part in decision making at community level.
So you are doing grassroots things in addition to national.
Yes, the grassroots is very essential, and we make it competitive.
Interesting.
So today, for instance, Umaru Sanders School, Temasco won Project Citizen, and we're going to so it's in every region.
You should go to Presect.
With last year we were there. So what we're trying to do, we can only do like 5-6 schools per region.
Wow.
That's all we can do. So what we've done is, if we went to this school, next year we go to another set of schools.
Okay.
So that every child can begin to understand through research what are the challenges in my community and begin to be solution oriented. I tell them, when you're doing this, you're supposed to be solution oriented. Proper solutions to our problems. Don't just criticize. Proper solutions. And they are looking at it seriously. And I'm amazed at what our young ones are doing.
My director is telling me in my mind that you should go to armed forces in Kumasi.
Oh, we did forces in Ghana this year.
And I don't know everybody's clamoring for their school.
Please, EU is one of our, in fact, they have
eternal donors.
Oh, they've been amazing with us since I joined.
Hey, so Ghana Beyond, would you have money? EU, please, don't go. Ghana Beyond.
But EU, the issue for me, when I joined NCCE and I saw that we had a lot of support from donor partners like the EU, my question is, so when they leave, what do we do? For instance, we had a program we're doing with UNICEF on child early and forced marriages. It was for a 3-year period, and it has ended. And it means that our work on child early and forced marriages has ended because we don't have the resources to sustain it.
Wow.
So you ask yourself, you're barely scratching the surface. So was it 3 years down the drain? So these are the challenges that we have. And the earlier the government resources are better, I think we would help to drive that agenda.
A lot of my viewers are saying you need to come here more often.
I will try.
They agree with a lot of what you're saying.
Thank you.
So we'll thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Point of View is a media partner to NCC.
Thank you.
So
amazing.
we are for you.
Thank you very much. I'm grateful.
Thank you. So we've been talking to Mrs. Josephine Nkrumah, who is the NCC chairperson, relentless, hardworking, determined. We'll take a break. When we come back, I'm going to ask my guest, Kobi, a few questions. Where is the NDC at all? They have a congress on Saturday. How united is the party? Who is going to be the new chairman? Who's going to be the general secretary? Who's going to be the deputy? Who's going to win the other positions? It's a very exciting segment coming up next. Don't go away.
City TV is live. City TV is a free-to-air digital channel. On a digital TV, please press menu on your remote control and run a news search on your TV. Take note that without an antenna, you cannot access City TV on your television. City TV can be accessed on a multi-TV digibox. Tune into City TV and experience your world. City TV, it's your world.
We spice up your mornings with culturally enriched conversations, social interviews, and policy-oriented discussions that will keep you updated on the progress of the nation.
Those security guys who were supposed to protect them, I'm sure by now somebody must have all of them arrested. They must all be arrested because it's an unprovoked attack.
Join the Breakfast Daily team Monday through Fridays from 7:30 a.m. to 10. Let your voice be heard with the hashtag Breakfast Daily. Join us for breakfast daily, only on City TV.
So welcome back. Tonight is an interesting night because, as I said, we have two main topics. Don't forget that tomorrow is budget, or if you're watching this on, I'm not even sure if you'll get to watch this on Thursday because the budget may run through. But if you're watching this on Thursday, this show was recorded on Wednesday night and it was live on Wednesday night. So there's budget as well coming. But on Saturday, the main opposition party, the NDC, will be holding its National Executives Congress. And it's going to be very interesting, happening at the Fantasy Dome at the Trade Fair. Now, what that means is that NDC is going to have a national chairperson, a general secretary, national organizer, deputy general secretaries, and these are the people who are going to manage the party into election 2020. Kobe Fiagbe is the managing editor of the Ghanaian Lens. He understands the way that party works very well. He's covered them for over 25 years. How long have you been covering politics in Ghana? For a long time.
Well over 2 decades.
Yes, over 2 decades. First, what's the state of the NDC? For somebody who writes about politics in Ghana, who covers some of the things they do. For those who are outside, it looks like business as usual. They are campaigning, they want to elect their leaders. But really, is it as it seems from inside?
Well, good evening to your cherished viewers. And the NDC, as a political party that has just come out from an election barely 2 years ago, and with the structure of our rules being such that 2 years after the elections, you have to go into Congress to change leadership or to affirm leadership, whatever we want to call it. It's not been the opposition party that one would have wished to see. And that is how come the parliamentary party has been the most vociferous, and upfront so far. Otherwise, the party is as good as any political party
has the NDC come to terms with why it lost? I'm asking this because, for example, there was this whole Kwesi Botwe report thing, which has not really been properly discussed, right? So even though there are some snippets of information out there, there isn't. Is there closure as to why, for example, the party lost?
It depends on where you are studying and who you are,
really?
And what you really want to see. For some, there is no closure. For some, there is closure. Really, we've lost the election. And every true member of the party has an idea. You may not have the total information. Yeah, but has an idea as to what are the things that contribute.
So I think like 2 or 3. What's the consensus between party members as to what happened in 2016?
On my part, I think that we took a lot of things for granted. We thought that having done the yeoman's job that John Mahama did in terms of delivery on infrastructure, in terms of creating the conditions that would have engendered employment. Because if you expand infrastructure, you obviously are creating conditions for job creation. So we thought that having done that, the Ghanaian people would see it by themselves, and so we kind of laid back on communicating, because there's something like over communicating.
You laid back on communicating.
Yeah.
So you think that your problem is was a communication problem?
Partly.
Really?
So we did not relate the infrastructure that we created to job creation. So when people were talking about, oh, there are no jobs, we were not relating how the classrooms that were being built, how the hospitals that were being built, how the roads that were being built were feeding into job creation. And so some of those things worked against us.
So you don't think it was bad governance? You don't think it was things like...
There is nothing like a perfect...
Like Muntie 3, people were upset.
There is nothing like a perfect government.
The Gitmo 2...
There is nothing like a...
Saw and all those things.
Like I'm saying, there is nothing like a perfect government. There is going to be the ifs and what ifs with any system and all that.
Yeah.
But by and large, even as the ifs and the what ifs are there, you need to also explain your part of the equation. For instance, Gitmo 2, the NDC stands vindicated today. Gitmo 2 are still here in Ghana today as we are here. You understand? The NDC stands vindicated.
But the Gitmo 2 couldn't be reversed. The way that this decision was taken, once it's a government...
Oh no, it could have been reversed given the ruling of the Supreme Court.
So you think that by MPP not...
Don't forget the ruling of the Supreme Court. It was clear. The Supreme Court gave an opening to the government. Send them away.
But they went to Parliament, and Parliament...
You don't get it. They had a choice.
Send them where?
Where were they telling us that they were going to send them before?
So what about like things like
before coming to power?
I'm just mentioning examples.
Yeah,
right?
so I'm saying that
I'm asking you, does NDC? You're saying NDC gave infrastructure, and NDC did not communicate properly what it was trying to achieve.
Yeah.
So people were.
Yeah. In my view, I think
you don't think people thought that the NDC didn't govern them properly? There was too much corruption, and that there was
the perception of corruption was there. No, I won't deny it. And that perception may have been fueled by one or two incidents that may have occurred.
One or two?
No, obviously. One or two incidents.
It's more like 10 to 20.
That may have occurred. But what we also failed to do was to let people understand how the whole thing... For instance, we now have a government where the president is the clearing officer. When there is an issue of corruption, the president goes to the Flagstaff Jubilee House, they now call it, and says, oh, there is no corruption, and that is the end of the matter. On the other hand, you have John Mahama who was saying that, look, investigate it and let's deal with it. And that resulted in even members of his own party, including former MPs, being prosecuted under his governance. You understand? And so you are saying that some people who
Mahama's government did more against corruption than this government?
Some people argue that in itself fed into the perception of corruption. Really? Because if you are prosecuting your own people, then it means that you are buying into the agenda that there is corruption. But if you have a leader that adopts that kind of approach, then we will entrench corruption. And that is the approach that Akufo-Addo is having.
But is the NDC serious in is this view the view of the NDC, or this is your view?
No, I told you that I'm telling you.
This is the view. Okay, this is your personal view. Because it seems as if you're saying the people of Ghana were almost conned. They were conned to vote, because don't forget the margin of loss was 1 million, which is unprecedented for a sitting government. So it must have been
near 1 million.
It must have been. I mean, people must have been very, because don't forget Mahama won 2012 50.7. Right, and Akufo-Addo had. So if you look at the switch, it has to be more than simply poor communication and that kind of thing.
No, I'm not saying that is simply.
There was a lot of disaffection for the government.
Absolutely. Right. And I'm saying that these are some of the things that contributed to that disaffection. For instance, when people are.
But have you admitted where you failed as a party? Because you are telling me all the things that happened, and now even trying to equalize.
I can't speak for the party, but I'm telling you from.
Has the party? That's why I ask you about the report. You see, what I'm trying to find out whether the party, because you have Congress in 3 days.
Yeah.
Has the party spoken to itself? Have they agreed on where they faulted and where they were tricked? Have they agreed on the various things where? Because what you're saying appears to be that, okay, you know what? The MPP people just came to lie to you. We weren't as bad as they thought we were, so we are coming back in 2012. And I'm saying that, is that really how you are supposed to assess the situation?
No, that's not how I am supposed, or we are as a party is supposed to. And I believe that the leadership of the party has had the opportunity to review the Civic report. Okay. And I'm sure the new executives coming in will also have the opportunity to review it and make their own this. But that notwithstanding, I am telling you that these are things that have happened in this country. You have now President Akufo-Addo going out and saying to the Ghanaian people that Kaswa interchange, for instance, has been overbloated. The cost has been overbloated. Yes. Only for his own MP to come and tell him that no, that is not true. But you see, when his own MP came to tell him that that is not true, you are lying to the Ghanaian people, we didn't amplify that. We didn't amplify that. Wow. And so for many people, it is the over-bloating that has been on their mind.
So it means that there are some people in NDC who think that some of their problems are communication problems.
No, it has been. It has been.
So you communicate better, you do better propaganda, and you win.
It is not about propaganda.
Or you match them boot for boot.
No, it is not about. No, it's about getting the Ghanaian people to see what the reality is. For instance, you have a vice president who tells you that, look, if you do propaganda with the economy, the fundamentals will expose you, right?
Yes.
Now, that vice president comes into power, 3 months into power. It tells us that he has arrested the CD and giving the key to the IGP, right?
Is that a lock and key?
What it tells you is that he thinks that in 3 months he has changed the fundamentals.
Yes.
Because to be able to say that I have arrested the CD and given unlocked it and unlocked and key, it means he has changed the fundamentals in 3 months.
Yeah, right.
Only for you, a few months down the line, for the city to start galloping downwards. Then who is doing propaganda?
No, maybe that's broken jail. Maybe the IGP lost the case.
Exactly. So you find out who is lying to the Ghanaian people. These are the things that we...
But to be fair, the city has stabilized quite nicely in the past few months. Although, if you look at the figure, it's now getting closer to 5, but it depends on what you are saying, what you are measuring.
You see, it also depends on where you are looking at it from. Right. You understand? So this is what I'm talking about. So when we're talking about people who lied their way to power...
Is the party united? I listened to...
When I hear that question...
No, let me finish the question.
Bernard, I won't allow you to finish. You know why? Is there any political party that is really, really, really united?
So you are saying they are not, but it's not strange.
Political party is an aggregation of interest groups.
No, but I know that.
When somebody says, is this party united, I really want to understand what they mean by that.
Let me explain. Please. So it's true that there are different groups in political parties. But you can assess a party's unity whether they are minded to focus on the same thing with the same general agenda, right? And I don't know if when I listen to, for example, the presidential aspirants, some of them think the MPP is the main opponent, but some of them actually think Mahama is. In a sense, that's something that if NDC goes with Mahama, they don't stand a chance. So they feel that the best chance NDC has is to be without Mahama, for example. Whereas some people also feel that the best chance NDC has is with Mahama. So my point is, they are not clear as of now what the strategy should be, because there are different schools of thought.
For me, what you have said is that you have just shown that the NDC is united.
In a way? In which way?
That the NDC wants the MPP out of power. And so...
I'm saying that some people say that if you don't take Mahama out, that will not happen.
Let me explain. Yes, but they are united in getting the MPP out.
But generally, every party wants to come to power. So that's not a revelation.
No. Akufo-Addo thought that Kwabena Japan and what's the name? Afoko didn't want him to come to power, so he had to move.
No, but that's him. But MPP is different.
But so that is why I'm telling you that at least in our case there is a common purpose.
But there are people in MDC who don't think Mahama should be the one.
So let me just address that point.
Yes.
At least. You have just shown that there is a meeting of minds in the NDC with regards to getting...
Really?
Yes, that's what you have just said. That they think that if Mahama is there, we may not get it, but if it's them, we will get it, right? So there is a meeting of minds that we need to get the MVP out.
So that means the party is united.
There is a... we must unite around something, shouldn't we?
But the fundamental
shouldn't
issue,
we are united against them to get. I am a Mahama man, and I want John Mahama to be the next president of Ghana. Yes. And I'm working assiduously, speaking to delegates all over the place to ensure that happens.
We understand he's working overdrive because the challenge is more formidable than he thought.
No, it's not true.
Because even today in our news today in the morning, we have two stories. He was in Ashanti, Fukaba Galamsey. In fact, he's been in the news in the past 3 weeks more frequently. He's going to more places. He's intensified his campaign. So it tells you that there could be, he could be, maybe he senses that if he doesn't step up the game, he could.
You see, this is a former president who has just come out from an election where people think that he was detached from the party.
Okay.
Now, if you are coming back and asking the delegate to repose their confidence in you, you must not be seen to think that, oh, I've won already, and create the impression that it's business as usual.
Okay.
You understand? You need to let the delegates know that if indeed this is what you thought of me, and indeed I have come to accept partly that is what I may have inadvertently communicated to you, then this is a different person. I am now with you on the ground. Let's go. You understand? So it is not about whether the race is or. Indeed, if he was even the only candidate, he would still do even worse.
So you don't feel that he is concerned at all that
the only concern those of us who are supporting John Mahama, former president, have is that we must not get anything less than 90% at Congress. That's the only concern we have.
90%.
Yep. Anything less than 90% at Congress.
Wow.
That is
so
you are
not concerned that it could go into a second round or anything like that?
I'm telling you that the only concern we have is that we must not have anything less than 90% at Congress. That's the only concern.
What's the electoral college for this election? Is it all card bearing members, or is it, or it will be determined on Saturday?
No,
I'm talking about the presidential.
There are going to be some. There are proposed amendments to our constitution. I don't know which one will carry or which one will carry. But assuming that it goes the way it is, it's just going to be the normal delegates.
Just delegates. Because I think you experimented using everybody.
Everybody, yeah. But, that didn't quite work out.
Why not?
Because we got infiltrated by a lot of MPP guys.
Oh, really?
Giving in electing our parliamentary candidates and all that.
So they voted for the wrong people?
That also contributed.
So the expanded electoral college, you don't think was managed properly?
Yeah, it was.
So why don't you tighten it? Why? Because it was a
but
it's something that it was very good for you to do that.
It's something that you tighten over time. You don't just tighten it at one.
So you are going to go back to a small electoral college, but people say that's easier to bribe them. You can count them in a hotel, make sure they all sign blood something.
See, when I hear that, I think that people have been in an election in NDC. 4 years ago, I was running as a communication officer for the party, and I lost with 88 votes at the Kumasi Congress. But when I hear that, I laugh, because our delegates are discerning. It doesn't matter how much money you throw at them. They make up their mind that, look, this is the man we are going with.
Are you speaking from experience?
I'm speaking from, oh no.
Did you give them money and they voted against you?
No.
I'm just asking.
No.
Okay.
But I'm speaking because I didn't give money. You understand? And I lost with 88 votes. So that should tell you that I'm saying, and that race, I entered the race, I think 3 weeks to Congress. So you see how close it was. So that's what I'm telling you.
That's what you're saying.
Our delegates are very.
But you admit that the more delegates, the larger the electoral college.
Oh, the more democratic
it is.
Yeah, the more democratic it is.
But then the more the broad-based appeal of the party. So let's talk about
that. Is something that we must
talk about Saturday. So Saturday is going to elect national leadership. To what extent does who gets elected on Saturday determine what's going to happen with the presidential ticket?
I really don't see it affecting in any significant manner what's going to happen on the presidential ticket. What I see happening is whether we are going to have the Kwabena Japan Afoko type of situation in NDC,
where somebody who repeatedly opposes a candidate.
Well, I don't know whether Kwabena Japan Afoko.
That's how it was perceived.
That's how it was presented. But I don't know whether we are going to have that kind of, and I don't foresee that kind of situation happening.
I'm going to show something on the screen. Guys, give me the General Secretary first. I want Kobe to help me here. First point, is this the most important race of all the contests? Is this the most important contest?
No.
Which is the most important?
The communication officer.
Oh, are you serious?
I'm absolutely serious. You see,
what do you mean?
Politics is about communication.
So this is the most important race?
Yep. Politics.
Sami Jemfi versus Fred Agbenyu?
Absolutely. Politics is about communication. Politics is about affecting people's lives and letting people know things. So if you don't have a good communicator up there who is managing and you see, you are a business person. You know the effect of branding. You understand? And so you know what branding does. So if you don't have the right person to manage your brand and build a brand for you, then obviously,
but Kobe,
you can have a bad product.
We have been told
you can have a bad product. If you have a good branding officer.
There's a plan in the party after this election to make the communication officer position an appointed position. If the position is that important, why are they proposing to even move it away from voting?
That shows you how important it is.
Why should an important position be like? So which position is more important than the flag bearer position?
You see, wait.
If the flag bearer position is not the most important, why?
If flag bearer,
per your theory, then we should appoint the flag bearer.
No, the flag bearer is going to go to election for the Ghanaian people.
Yes.
The whole electorate to go and elect him afterwards. The communication officer is going to work with the national executives to brand the party and communicate.
But everybody in the party communicates. General secretaries talk.
That is the point. Talk. People think that talking is communication. It is not.
I see. So these guys, what are they going to do specially?
They are going to brand the party and make sure that the party becomes vibrant and appealing to the Ghanaian people. So
this is the most important race.
In my view.
Who's going to win this race?
Fred is...
Before that, who are these guys? Who is Sami Jemfi?
Sami Jemfi is a lawyer and a very, very astute communicator.
How young is he? How old is he?
Early 30s.
Early 30s. And who is Fred?
Fred is also a former teacher and he has been a deputy communication officer of the party.
He's a bit older?
Yes, also around his 30s. But so, maybe late 30s.
Okay, you have said you support Mahama.
Yeah.
But you haven't said who you support in any of the races.
No.
Because you also write, even though you're a party, but you write a story. Who is leading on the ground?
On the ground, as at now, Sami Jemfi appears to be leading. Sami
appears to be
leading, yeah.
Is it like 60-40? Is it 45-35? What kind of margin?
It looks close.
It's very close.
But Sami
Jemfi win. Is he your preferred candidate?
In this race, I don't have a preferred candidate.
So if Fred wins, it's good for the party?
Fred has a weakness, and I spoke to him about it. I don't mind sharing it.
Yes.
His weakness is that he is seen as not being... his mindset is not in consonance with the pro-JM thing. You understand?
Oh, so if you are not pro-JM, it will affect you?
Yeah, it will definitely affect you because the mood of the party as we speak right now is that...
So Sami Jemfi is pro-JM?
Yeah.
But Fred, you are not sure?
Yeah, I told him.
So that's his only problem?
That is his biggest problem.
Amazing. Yeah. So you think Sami Jemfi will beat him because he's more pro-JM?
Not just that. Sami is good. What Fred has going for him is experience at the national executive level.
But what Sami has going for him is JM credentials.
Not just
that's
that.
That's what you just said.
That's what you want to understand.
No, that's what you're saying.
That's what you want to understand.
That they are both competent, but one is more pro-JM than the other. So the more pro-JM you are, the more you would likely to win.
But beyond that, Sami Jemfi is also a legal practitioner. He's just been called to the bar, and he is very eloquent, and he knows how to.
So Sami Jeff is
brand it.
winning for you. Fine. I'll call you back when we finish. Which is the next most important race after communications?
The chairmanship.
So put a chairmanship.
And I don't have.
No, I'm going to push it. Put a chairmanship. Put a chairmanship for me. So Danny Annan, some of who do I hear than about people. Who is Danny Annan?
Danny Annan, former Greater Accra Regional Chairman and.
Former Greater Accra Regional Chairman.
Yeah.
Party is known in the party.
Yeah.
For example, former national organizer, right?
Yeah, former national organizer.
Former MP.
The director of elections at the last elections, for which people are blaming him because they think that
he was director of elections.
Yeah.
He owns Ahunto FM too.
Well,
so that's who do you have? First general secretary of the party, right?
Yeah. A very astute politician.
Well-known member of the party.
And a legal practitioner.
He's a lawyer.
Yeah.
He's from the north.
Yeah.
Where is some people from?
Eastern region.
Eastern. So you have Greater Accra, Eastern, you have North. Dana Bodakwi, former trade minister.
Yeah.
Former MP for what? Is it Keta?
Keta. No, yeah, is it Keta?
It was Keta.
Yeah, Keta.
It's also a stalwart in the party.
Yeah.
And then Auntie Betty, as we call her.
Yeah.
She was a former vice chairman.
Former vice chairman,
former minister.
Yeah.
And then
attorney general, deputy, former attorney general.
So, why is this race too difficult for you to give me a prediction?
Danny Annan, a strong party person who's worked through the ranks to become a regional chairman and all that. Ofosu Apofo, you've mentioned his credentials, local government minister, and Hudu Yahya from PNDC days has moved the party, he's led.
Is Hudu a Keda?
Yeah,
he's a Keda.
Very strong Keda. And very, very unassuming, that's the word. Unassuming and easy to approach character. Uncle Dan, by virtue of where I come from, so you know the relationship. And I'm not saying this because of the personal relationship, no. And then Auntie Betty, a strong and astute lawyer. Any one of them is.
So this one you don't even want to dare.
Wait. Any one of them is good for the party.
It's qualified.
But for me, my interest is in let's elect somebody who will not make us have the Afoko and the scenario. There isn't.
You keep going back to this
issue. There isn't.
If the party is united, whoever you vote should not bring an Afoko matter.
You don't understand me. For me, I'm talking about me. So, as far as I'm concerned, any one of them is good.
Please put the thing back on the screen. I want you to tell me who is leading. Because you are also on the ground. Who is leading? Or in which region? Because is it regional?
Yeah. No, it's not about region. From my last check, which was a few hours just before I got here, yes. It seems to be a 3-horse race. Dan, Hudu, and Ofosu.
So the 3 in the middle?
Yeah.
Wow.
Dan, Hudu, and Ofosu. But it looks as if Uncle Dan has an edge.
A bit of an edge. But it's a 3-horse race.
Yes.
So if Hudu or Ofosu wins, you won't be surprised.
No, I won't be.
You won't be surprised.
I won't be.
Wow, that's very interesting.
Yeah.
And this is anything to do with pro-JM or anti-JM?
No.
This is not an issue here.
No, not at all.
All these guys are.
They are all seen as very, very.
They are continuity people.
Not just that.
Or they are mature enough.
They are astute politicians. What they want is for the NDC to come to power to implement the social
So for them,
policies.
whoever is chosen, they will work with.
Yeah, absolutely.
Wow, that's an interesting insight. So after this, which is the next most important race?
Well, then you come to the general secretary position.
Kobe. Yeah. So please put general secretary there for me. Koko Anyidoho and Johnson Ketia. Johnson's election that he won, I covered that Congress in 2005 in Koforidua. I was there with Richard Mensah and Richard Sky and Sola.
I was there too.
I was there, and that was the first day I saw Fifi Kwete, because I think he also won communication something. Yeah. Koforidua, Jackson, someplace.
Yeah, I was there.
Eric
Hotel, yeah.
No, why are you saying this race is not as important as I think? You're saying this is the 3rd most important race.
Yeah.
Because generally, the general secretary is the scribe of the party.
Yeah, he is the face of the party and everything. But you see, if you have a good general secretary, however good the general secretary is, and yet you don't have somebody to manage the image of the party well, then you have a problem. For me, it is the most important position.
It's communication.
Is the
communication. You said that. So fine. So you think general secretary is good, but it's not the most important. So who is going to win this race?
It's a straight race between a change and continuity and experience. And for Koku is my brother and everything, but for my money, I'll put my money on Johnson. I said Nkrumah to retain his position.
Because Koku is seen as a change candidate.
Not just
he wants to change everything, not just the general secretary, but also the flag bearer. Is that the issue?
Oh, no.
So if you say it's change,
I don't know. Have you heard Koku intimating that he wants to change?
No, I'm not. I'm just asking.
Okay. So
if you say it's change, I thought about change for the general secretary position.
Yes.
But Johnson has been general secretary since 2005.
That even makes him...
That's 13 years.
That even makes him more experienced and better placed. Over the 13-year period, he may have, stepped on some toes. He may have, ruffled some feathers and all that. But by and large, I think that at this time of our development as a party, we would need, General Seydou Nketia. And so,
why do you think...
I'm not saying that just because that is my preference. I'm saying that because having spoken to a lot of delegates on the ground, I think that is...
Why do you think in the past few days, a lot more people have come out to speak against him? The former treasurer spoke, Alote Jacobs also spoke, and it appears certain people are not happy with General Mosquito. And he's having to defend... I'm just asking, he's having to defend his record, almost.
Isn't that indicative of the fact that those who don't want him see him winning, that is why they are upping their game?
You think so?
I think so.
But Koku is your brother. You are both... I know both of you as you write for the NDC, right? You write... He used to do... Is he informer?
The sports... No, for the
Ghanaian
Lens. He used to be the sports editor in the Ghanaian Lens.
So I can say he's your friend.
He's my brother.
But you are supporting General Mosquito.
No, you see, it is not about... brotherhood or it's about winning power 2020, and I believe that Seydou Nketia, Seydou Nketia represents the pillar that we need in the general secretary, because we are not going to have things easy with the MPP. They are not just going to fold their arms and wait for us to come. You understand?
You don't think the party's mood... usually when a party does an election, generally in MPP and NDC, they change the executives.
In that case, both Koku and... Because Koku was the deputy to General Mosquito, in that case, both he and... Seydou Nketia would have been swept out. You understand?
Are you surprised more people didn't enter the race to be General Secretary?
No, I'm not. Because given the pedigree of General Mosquito, you needed to be... And that is why I'm not surprised Koku is contesting, because having been there for 4 years as deputy, and given what we are hearing that he was given the green light by General himself initially that he was not going to contest, and therefore that is how come he threw his hat into the ring. Given all that, I'm not surprised.
Is it a close race?
No, not in my estimation.
You think General will win hands down?
I think so.
Is it 80-20, 60-40, 70-30?
No. Koku will gain a respectable percentage, but it will not be enough to...
will he get 40%?
Don't push me. But it will be a respectable margin.
Really? So he will not be completely annihilated?
Not because General is not good, but because he started working early.
So people
at the time that we started working, he was working because General had indicated that he was not going to contest. And so...
Why did General change his mind? Was it because he didn't... People are coming forward?
I haven't spoken to him on that, so I wouldn't presume...
Who does JM prefer of the two?
JM prefers that the party has a general secretary.
He doesn't have any favorite?
JM wants to work with the party.
Let's look at the final few races. We have a couple of minutes. Show me national organizer. National organizer, do you have that? And you need to tell me who's going to win that. Wow, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Baba Jamal from Bottom, Solomon and Cancer, former communication director, Anita De Soso, former women organizer. Akamba is former deputy something. Joshua Akamba is former deputy something, I forget. Former deputy youth organizer.
No, deputy
organizer. So he and Yabuatinjan both national. Yabuatinjan is the incumbent.
Yeah, both Madi Jibril and Joshua Akamba were deputies to Kofi Adams.
So Madi Jibril and Akamba were deputy Kofi Adams.
Yes.
Boatinjan was a former.
Yeah, former national organizer.
Who is Enoch Amoakunsia?
Enoch, I really don't know.
You don't know him?
Yeah, no, I really don't know him.
Is there a clear leader in this race?
This is also another 3-horse race between Baba Jamal, Akamba, and Yao Boatinjan.
Really?
Yeah.
So Nkrumah is not in the race?
Not from what I've heard.
What about Anita?
But there are people who think that he can pull a surprise.
But you think Baba, Joshua, and Yao?
Yeah.
Baba, okay, 2 seconds. What's Baba Jamal's strength?
Baba Jamal's strength is that he's been a national a deputy general secretary before. He's been an MP, and he's also a lawyer and all that. And Joshua Akamba, who is seen really as the grassroots person and somebody who is on the ground with the grassroots. He's not the office operator.
He's always on the ground.
He's also always on the ground. Yao Boatinjan, because of his having been at the position before, he still has a lot of contacts in the party and all that. So, and the same applies to Baba Jamal as well as Solomon Kasa, and indeed Madi. And if you're talking about having been on the ground, then the Anita Dususu too, because of her position as former national women organizer and former vice chairperson. So
we shouldn't be surprised if either Baba or Joshua or Yao wins.
Yeah.
But if I push it for your top two, who will be your top two?
My top two will be a race between Yao Boatinjan and Joshua Akamba, and I'm tipping Joshua Akamba to come tops.
So Joshua can win.
Yeah.
He's a young guy, isn't he?
Yeah, he's
How old is he?
Joshua will be around his late 40s to.
So he's not okay. So he's rather young.
Yeah.
Which other race is there? We have like a minute to go. Is there a vice chairman thing going on?
Oh, the vice chairman thing is really there are 6 people who are contesting.
6 people contesting.
Yeah, but then 3 will be elected and
can you
3
show
will
that
be
for me
appointed.
quickly? Just to show. So
Lawyer
Edu Yeboah, Alaji Sai scenario has always been there.
Yeah, and he's a stalwart of the party.
So Amadu Sorogo,
my preferred candidates are all from the north. Sofo Azoka, Sinari, and Sorogo.
So for Azoka, you think will go
but
to
then you
scenario
see
what about Ampofu?
The delegates go to Congress thinking about regional balance and all that. So but if you ask me, my preferred candidates are Sofo Azoka, Sinari, and Sorogo.
We'll come back when the election is over, and I'll replay all the things you said. And if you get them correct, I'll give you a gift. Of course, you didn't predict who was going to win.
Is it going to be a Bentley?
I don't have such money. But thank you, Kobi Shabe. It's great to see you, editor of the Ghanaian Lens. Really a keen contest coming up on Saturday. City will be there for radio and television, covering it from beginning to end. Earlier on, we had Josephine Nkrumah. Let me read a quick comment to take Kobi away. And the person says, two comments. I am for Jay, but that's what Koku can do a good job. No name. Felix Bruce Tipper. Good evening. The NDC party lost money because of complacency. Did not campaign enough, and also because of Edidija. Asiedu Nketia will triumph over Koku and Nidoho. Kobe, great to have you. Viewers, thank you for being on the program. My name is Bernard Avle. Stay with City TV. Have a good night.